As a new mom of two, the memories would appear in the 3-minute showers between nursing sessions, and in those very few minutes between my head hitting the pillow and the deep sleep that followed. I pictured myself throwing Toby, just 4 hours old, to my husband Mike in the delivery room as I was about to pass out before my first hemorrhage. I saw our older son, 2-year-old Max, from my spot lying on the bathroom floor. He was holding a pretend phone as Mike held a real one to urge the ambulance to come faster when Toby was 12 days old and I was rushed back to the hospital with my second hemorrhage. I could remember passing in and out of consciousness while begging the EMTs for a blood transfusion and struggling to lift my hand to sign the waivers provided by the ER doctor in the trauma room. What I didn't realize at the time was both how common and uncommon this was. Many women experience postpartum hemorrhaging. It occurs in up to 5% of deliveries, yet it is disturbingly underreported and underdiscussed, especially in the US and especially for women of color. At the same time, I had faced unusually severe shifts in my health. I was completely healthy after a fast and easy delivery, and then, moments later, gravely ill. So sick that according to the doctors, if I had been a bit older or less healthy, my body would have shut down given the amount of blood I lost. And then, by the time Toby was just 14 days old, I was supposedly cured again, with no long-lasting effects. On the outside, I was healthy. But as we say in today's Musaf, Habochen ubodek ginzei nistarot. God examines the store of our hidden thoughts, and only God knows our deepest feelings. These memories continue to haunt me. There was also so much that I could not remember, both because of my physical weakness and due to the incredible thing that minds do in blocking out painful events. In the case of childbirth, likely to ensure that moms make the choice to go through that scary and painful experience yet again. I leaned on Mike to be my memory, asking the same questions repeatedly. When exactly did they take Toby to the nursery? Was I vomiting? Was I shivering? What was I wearing when I was put in the ambulance? I'm not sure why these details mattered to me, but they most certainly did. In a recent New York Times article, Rosemary Counter retells her ancestry's childbirth stories. She writes, "In my family, the details get quickly lost. In their place, we have stories. They say my grandma, a one-room school teacher, farmer's wife, and mother of 8, once birthed in the morning and drove the tractor in the afternoon. In my case, I wanted both the story and the details, and I feared losing them as time passed. While Mike humored me by answering my questions, he personally did not want to recount the details. The story was enough for him. We had a beautiful baby boy. We had some complications, and we are on the mend." The night I returned from the hospital the second time, my father asserted how he wanted the story retold. "It's not she almost died," he claimed. "It's she could have died." As we know, Yom Kippur Musaf is the longest of the year. We take the Rosh Hashanah Musaf and add 3 key components: Yizkor, the Martyrology, and the Avodah. In Yizkor, we conjure up personal memories of our loved ones, and in the Martyrology and Avodah services, we retell stories from our temple experience and our collective memory as a people. As we look forward to a new year, we are saying that we must also rely on multiple forms of memory, both the individual and the collective, the details and the stories. After a few months, I went to a therapist, as I recommend for all new moms. At the end of our second session, she said to me, "This was an extremely traumatic experience. It is one book on the shelf of your life. It is a story that you can take out and read, but that should live permanently on that bookshelf." And she pushed, "If it is a book, it must be written." And so that is what I did. I promise Mike, please answer these questions just one last time. This book of life will be my story. It will house the details that I need. It can serve as a reference, and it can be both part of my singular and our collective family memory. The writing of my story and its placement on a metaphorical shelf has also helped me forget. I am empowered to retain the impact of the experience while moving towards healing. This is so reminiscent of how Judaism teaches us both to grieve and to forgive. Consider Kriya, the tearing of a garment when a family member dies. We don't tear a piece of the garment off. The part stays attached to the whole. In fact, the Talmud teaches us that when you mend your clothing after Kriya, you cannot use a stitch that makes the tear disappear altogether. When we ask for forgiveness, we must first recount the transgressions we committed and then ask someone else to forget them. Forgetting is foundational, yet the memory still lives on. On this Yom Kippur, I'm extraordinarily grateful for my own and my family's health, in a year of our own trauma and in a time of collective global pain and suffering. This year, more fiercely than ever before, I do not believe in God's book of life. I do not believe that God is choosing who amongst us lives and who dies. But I do believe in the creation of our own books of life, with details and stories, both individual and collective. These books continue to shape who I am, as all of our stories do. And I feel especially fortunate that Toby, whose Hebrew name, Tuvia, means God is good, and my stories have found a treasured place on our family's bookshelf to be joined by a lifetime more to come. Gemar Chatima Tova, may we all be fortunate enough to craft healthy and joyful books of life in 5781.